Chapter 91. Buried alive and suffocated. Just as Song Shi seized the opportunity to leave, the area above his head suddenly lit up and a sharp light streaked across the sky. Rumble. Amidst deafening sound, he saw the black ship in the distance, being directly cut into half by a power streak of heavenly sword chi. So strong, no wonder they say that this person is the #1 sword king of the great Jin Lord dynasty. Song Shi exclaimed. He felt that this strike was very stunning and had a different kind of beauty to it. This is what men should pursue. If I only have a death wish, then I'm too unambitious. He cursed himself for being useless. All he thought about previously was relying on the system to win in life. After seeing these stronger existences, his mentality had changed. It could be said that he had been stimulated. Things that he had felt content with could no longer satisfy his growing psychological needs. At this moment, he wanted to pursue more. Otherwise, he would be no different from living like a salted fish. I want to cultivate seriously and become a powerhouse by myself as much as possible. Song Shi had a serious expression as he secretly opened the system and increased his comprehension with all his freedom attribute points. He wanted to use his powerful comprehension to further study various cultivation techniques and divine powers. Just as he was feeling smug, a certain bag on his waist fluctuated. Song Shi thought of something and took out a black alms bowl, placing it on the ground. He formed a special seal and as a light flashed, the 7-colored centipede appeared in the alms bowl. The originally sleeping centipede had already woken up. After Song Shi opened the seal, it suddenly shot out and landed on the poisonous insects. A slaughter erupted. This centipede actually ate other poisonous insects as food. It killed a lot of them, scaring the other poisonous insects into fleeing. I thought it was going to run away. I guess it was just hungry. Song Shi frowned as he watched the other party eat its fill. Then, it crawled back on its own and caused Song Shi to feel a little disgusted. This sting did not seem to be of much use to him. He was not interested in being a poo picker for this insect. However, some fragments of Haiduzi's memories appeared in his mind. This centipede seemed to have a connection with the alms bowl, which was why it came back on its own. In that case, it could be used as a hidden weapon. Without any time to study it, he sealed the alms bowl and put it away. Then, he set the resurrection point to resurrection on the spot. He did not want to be resurrected here after he died. Not to mention that it was extremely far. It would be troublesome if he encountered the others here. He left the Thousand Poisons mountain range in one breath and returned to the edge of the mount range, which was the cave where Chen Yiling and the others were staying. There was no one here anymore. Song Shi secretly frowned. Why didn't he take an extra communication talisman back then? Forget it, I don't need the rewards. Song Shi decided to give up on the reward. He did not want to stay here for long. Now that so many golden core cultivators and martial arts kings were here, he felt that danger could erupt at any time. Just as he was about to walk out of the cave, he saw a few yellow talismans stuck at the entrance of the cave. What talisman is this? It looks a little familiar. Song Shi was curious and thought that it was Chen Yiling's contact information. In the next second, the runes lit up brightly. Flames appeared and emitted a dazzling light. An explosive force was released. Holy shit! Song Shi's pupils constricted. He remembered something at the last moment, but it was already too late. Boom! With a loud bang, the ground shook and the entire cave collapsed instantly. The cliff was even flattened by the explosion, filling half of the entire valley. You were killed by the explosion. Physique plus 10. You have absorbed strength from death and obtained 5 freedom attribute points. You will be resurrected in 3 seconds. No resurrection location set. Resurrection on the spot by default. Ding, congratulations on being killed by a new target. You meet the motivation conditions. The lottery subsystem has been activated. If you kill the target within the specified time, you will be rewarded with 1 chance to draw the lottery. Song Shi was actually killed by the explosion. His mid-grade Vajra Dharma body could not even block it. It was obvious how terrifying the explosion was. Moreover, this time, someone had used a talisman to blow him up on purpose, which he inferred from the system that had attributed the cause of his death to someone. There was a reward for killing this guy. In the outside world, killing one with an explosive talisman isn't bad. At the end of the valley, a person wearing a fox mask appeared and looked at the results in satisfaction. Then, he turned invisible and decided to leave this useless place that was no longer able to be used for ambush. Similar scenes were happening everywhere. The people from Sky Demon Cult had not retreated completely. Instead, they hid and waited for the right time to secretly kill those who approached to investigate the situation. This was the first time in the history of Great Jin that they had acted so arrogantly. In the past, when they were dealing with these people, they would either hide or run away. This time, they actually dared to directly attack the cultivators affiliated with the Great Jin dynasty, and even dared to ambush them. This showed that the Sky Demon Cult's power was getting stronger and stronger, hence there was no need for their members to be too timid. Just as the ambushers thought that Songshi would definitely die, deep underground, amidst the countless gravel, Songshi opened his eyes and subconsciously cursed, "Which old fox?" After scolding, he hurriedly closed his eyes. Cough, 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 he was being crushed by the gravel. His eyelids were covered in dust. When he opened his mouth, the gravel almost choked him to death. A circle of golden light was released from his body and spread out, forming an energy shield that temporarily isolated him from the outside world. He released the 9 Yang true energy and shook off some of the dust on his body. He continued to curse, "Bastards of the Sky Demon Cult, setting traps everywhere to trap people. Are they all a group of orphans?" Songshi was furious. In less than a day, he had died countless times. First he was ambushed last night, then, when he went to investigate the situation, he encountered the poison left behind by the poison master. Now, when he came back to look for Chen Diling, he was killed by another explosion. It was fine if he was killed head-on, but he kept being ambushed and died wrongfully. This was the most depressing thing. "Don't let me catch you, if I do, I'll blast you into pieces too." Songshi gritted his teeth. The person who killed him this time should not be too strong. Otherwise, he would not have used such a bomb-like explosive talisman to kill him indirectly. He got up and wanted to deal with the sneaky ambusher, but he realized that he was being pressed down. Even with his strength, he could not move much. His expression could not help but change into one of horror. How deep was he buried for him to feel this way? The surroundings were pitch black. Songshi probed with his divine consciousness and realized that there was only gravel and soil above his head. He could not even send divine sense out. "I've been buried alive." This thought appeared in Songshi's mind in horror. He hurriedly raised his hand and threw a punch. Dang! With a muffled sound, the stone shattered and buried him even more tightly. Songshi realized that he could not use brute force. At the very least, he could not rely on brute force to get out of the pit. Instead, he arched his body as much as possible. His fingers turned into claws as he dug towards the area supported by large rocks. Ordinary stones were like tofu in Songshi's hands. They quickly shattered. Songshi threw them behind him and used it to consolidate the tunnel. Through this method, he managed to use the support of some rocks to slowly dig out a hole. After digging for a while, he was panting and had difficulty breathing. This was due to the lack of air and the lack of oxygen. Songshi was experiencing the horror of being buried alive. An existence like him would still suffocate to death even if he had the strength to dig a hole. "I just unlocked the death by being blown up and now I have to suffocate to death." Songshi smiled bitterly. Chi refinement and connate cultivators are not able to abstain from eating for a long time or hold their breath for long. Only when they reach the foundation establishment realm, then would they no longer need to partake in these two vital activities. He endured the pain of a lack of oxygen and sped up his digging. After holding on for a while, he fell to the ground in a daze and slowly died.